Hey, good morning, good morning, good morning. I am Prentice Johnson, and I am recording this particular video to notate and understanding that I just came to most recently. Um, Aside from systematic issues that have been happening for me for many years in employment. There are some concerns that should actually be applied to Minnesota state statute as well as federal law. Um, so there is first of all, an organization that I am planning on utilizing a blockchain called FeePanmela. Of course, FeePanmela is the network that will contain the ability to contain information. This information will be recorded by the actual employer or legal entity. Uh, this particular information will also contribute to employment transition, which enables the employment transition facility the ability to comprehend techniques on being certain to choose the right individuals for employment. As this is a fairly large organization and a blockchain, it's going to take a lot of people and a lot of effort in order to get it started. However, there is something that is actually missing from the law, at least I'm unable to find, that has contributed to a large amount of violation, and that is regarding training. A lot of the times, a lot of the things that occur within the establishment could be avoided if proper training had occurred. Most recently, I had classroom training and then I had field training. Classroom training went excellent. It was fairly simplistic. It was easy to pass. You could ask questions. You had great teachers. There was absolutely no problem. However, when you got into the field, it was a totally different story. With this being said, just the other day I was sitting outside of the dentist and I came up with an understanding that we don't have a Fair Training Act. And with that, I'd like to introduce just minor details regarding what the Fair Training Act should consist of. And so, by list, I have Fair Training Act being an act that offers fair training to an employee, and this will also be in connection with employment transition. Okay. Um, you would also need to understand that employment transition is a separate facility. It'll be the organization that is notified when there's a position available. If the position is available and there is an amount of time for training, this organization will actually utilize its resources to train the employee before it gets to the established entity. That way we can cut down payment for training. We can cut down turnover for employees. and we can eliminate many of the issues that occur when an employee is not comfortable in the beginning of a training, including a probationary period that lasts anywhere from 1 month to 6 months. So, first thing involved in the Fair Training Act is training being free of unnatural threats, discrimination, and harassment. We're all aware of discrimination laws, harassment laws. Unnatural threats are threats that occur in the same fashion as discrimination, and threats that could be avoided with a normal amount of information uh, that issues might occur, emergencies might occur, and or unnatural threats that are created by human beings and staff that have absolutely nothing to do with the nature of the position. Fair pay. This would include fair and legal pay, which is also a part of the Department of Labor, something that they actually enforce. However, they don't enforce fair training, which is oblivious to the former system. The amount of laws that are missing that should have actually been occurring from the beginning of employment. So, for fair pay, obvious fair and legal pay, competitive to pay to the actual position, and full pay. That would mean if a person was discharged or terminated through training, that they would receive the full term pay of training. And again, this payment would actually come through employment transition. However, the Fair Training Act again would actually become a part of the law and the current system. Fair education. Um, Obviously, laws and policies, uh, position duties, position daily activities, adaptability and versatility. You should be aware of some certain things that may lead to having to adapt and lead an individual to having to be versatile. Uh, Fair notification of statistical rate and efficiency accountability. I think I spelled that wrong. And of course, benefits and other applicable laws. So these are a part of fair training to make sure that a person receives handbooks and all information that is necessary for them to understand the actual position. And this would all in detail come from employment transition, and then the individual would transition from that, in this case actually 1 week of training possibly, to 6 months of training, and they would then transition into employment full time or part time depending on the actual, or seasonal depending on the actual employment situation. And literally the payment the excuse me the amount wouldn't have to be a burden of the actual organization. Fair notification of assessment. Obviously, you should be aware of ahead of time that there's going to be a test, any type of assessment from mental assessment to physical assessment to ability assessment to educational assessment and quizzes should all be have fair notice. Should be notified ahead of time, and you can come to an organizational stance regarding. So if there is any policy of notification, it could actually come directly from that particular type of position, depending. As quizzes could be, a daily thing, something that just happens every day. Fair practice, fair hands-on practice, so that an individual can form an understanding for the position. And that is something that you will be able to do through employment transitioning training. So any type of employment that is possible, I am asserting that it should be entered into law that through employment transitioning, hands-on understanding should be gained before they get to the position. Also, monitor, actually ability to monitor and practice the actual job. So aside from hands-on training, there's also time to practice. Okay. And so many organizations might take it that it should be a part of the understanding of the individual before they get to the job, and they should have had some type of experience to get to a particular level. But a lot of these jobs where there's a high turnover and a problem, there is no need for experience. These are simplistic jobs, and reality might check an employee just by way of a strategic layers that are placed in an organization so that certain violations can't be seen. And so if the training takes place outside of the organization through a third-party organization, outside of the employer through a third-party organization, then you can go in noting that the training came from the third-party organization. They go into the organization with the information that was given to the third-party organization to train, and once they get there, all of the hogwash and excuses aren't blamed on the third-party organization, employment transition, aren't blamed on the employee. The employer can now take accountability for what the concerns are inside of the organization, because we will build a third party that will be more than capable of offering the opportunity to be certain that these things happen properly by way of the information that is communicated to the third party organization. And lastly, fair notification of changes and or coming changes with practice if necessary. With technology, machinery, even AI, there is going to be an extreme technical comprehension that is necessary to get to the next levels of understanding. And with that said, we are going to need to secure ourselves that much further in order to be able to compete. Also, and I'm truly aside from the understanding that we're going to be the ones that have to come up with new ideas to implement strategy to enable employment and income. With that said, I appreciate you listening. I thank you for drawing your concerns. I appreciate anybody who has any comments. Please contact me directly. And if you are an advocate for civil rights, civil progress, please be certain to comprehend these measures and assist in getting this law to take effect in your state and area. Blessings and success.